So A-level mathematics, chapter 8.2.1, we're going to solve the equation x e to the x equals 1. So what I'm going to do with this is, in this form right here, it doesn't work out very well. And so it's going to be easier if I try and move this around to make it into something easier, because I can't do it without have that x and the e to the x there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my x e to the x equals 1 and divide both sides by x. So I get e to the x equals 1 over x. Now I want to get that out of the exponent, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ln both sides. So we get just x is equals ln 1 over x. And I know that because this is division right here, I could separate my ln. So the division, the log rule says that this could turn into a minus. So I get x equals ln 1 minus ln of x. And we should know that ln of 1 is going to give me 0. So that's going to go away. So I get x equals negative ln of x. Now I rearrange that. Now if we're going to solve the equation, it's going to need to be set equal to 0. So I'm going to move this to the other side of the equal sign. So I get x plus ln x equals 0. Now there's a couple things that I know about ln. Okay, so that's gonna reflect what my domain is going to be. So the possible values for my x. So let's take a look. Certain things that I know about ln. If I throw in a negative number, I get a domain error. Okay, so I get a domain error. Now, if I throw in 0, ln 0, I also get a domain error. So I can't do that one either. So, but when I get ln 1, that's going to give me 0 there. So ln 1 is going to give me 0, and if I do an ln of, let's say, a point, let's say 0.1, okay, that's between 0 and 1, because 0 gives me undefined and 1 gives me 0. So I get a negative number out of that. So I'm allowed to get that, but I can't use 0, and I can't use negative numbers. So I know that I have ln 0 gives me error, and ln of 1 gives me 0. So in this one right here, for this to work at all, because if I plug in 1, it would be 1 plus 0, and that's not equal to 0. So that's not equal to 0. So what needs to happen is that my domain of this, it's got to be between 0 and 1. So that's what I get using the ln, knowing the certain identities about ln. I can't have negatives. I can't have 0 because I get an error, and at 1 I get 0. So right here, if I plug in 1, it doesn't give me 0. So I'm going to need to have something in between 0 and 1. So now is the time I'm going to start off my decimal search. So my decimal search is that I start plugging in numbers to my calculator and see what I get out of this. So if this is my x, this is my f of x. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in, let's say 0.2. Just because. I don't know why. Just because. So let's see what we get here. Clear. So it's going to be 0.2 plus ln 0.2. And I get a negative answer. So I get a negative 1.41. Now what we're doing, we're trying to find decimal search by using the change in sign. So I need to do a couple of these to try and see where it's actually going to change from a negative to a positive. Okay, so now let's go 0.3. Let's go 0.3. So we get 0.3 plus ln 0.3, and I get negative 0.90. Okay, so now at 0.3, I'm going in the right direction. These numbers are getting closer to 0, but I'm not sure at what point I'm going to end up having to go. So I don't want to have to go all the way to 0.9, but somewhere in between there it's going to. So let's see, next one's 0.4. 0.4, so I'm going to put 0.4 here, plus ln 0.4, close, and I get negative 0.52. Let's try 0.5 plus ln 0.5, and I get, so at 0.5 I'm going to get negative 0.19. Let's try 0.6. So 0.6 here. So 0.6 plus ln 0.6, close. And I get a positive right there. So now it's going to be a positive 0.0, let's go 9 because it's 8, 9 right there. So I know that my answer is going to be in between those two there. It's going to be somewhere in between those two. So we need to go through and we're going to try and find this to 2 decimal points. So I know I'm going to have somewhere in between there. So let's go ahead, and I know it's going to be 0.5 something. So let's take a look. I'm going to have let's say 0.54. The reason why I went with 0.54, this one right here is somewhere in between those two. So I'm just actually taking a guess on this. And if it's too big, if it's a positive, I'd need to go backwards to get that negative sign change. And if it's too small, if it's still in negatives, I would have to keep increasing that to get closer to that sign change. So let's go ahead, plug it in. So 0.54 plus ln 0.54. I have negative 0.08. Now let's try the next one. So I'm in the negatives now. So 0.55. So 0.55 plus ln 0.55, negative 0.05. Okay, so let's try another one. 0.56. So I have 0.56 plus ln 0.56, negative 0.02. So we're keeping going with this. So next one is going to be 0.57, 0.57 plus ln 0.57, and I get a positive there now. So I get a positive 0.01 if I'm looking at 2 decimal places. So it's somewhere going to be between there and there. So I'm going to have somewhere in between 0.56 and 0.57. So now I'm going to go ahead and add another digit to this, since I know the sign change is going to be there. So let's take a look. Let's go 3. So it's going to be 0.563. Again, I'm making a guess. If it's positive, I would need to go down in numbers, but if it's negative, I would need to increase my numbers. So I got 0.563 plus ln 0.563, and I get a negative 0.01, getting close to 0, 0.564, 0.564 ln plus ln 0.564 negative 0.01. Okay, so still getting closer, but it's rounding to 1 right there. So 0.565. So 0.565 plus ln 0.565. And that's negative 0.01 again. It's getting close. Point 566. Okay, 0.566 plus ln 0.566. Negative 0.00. So this one right here I got 0.003. So it's still a negative. Okay, so I'm still getting down there. 0.567. 0.567 plus ln 0.567. Now this one's coming close right here. Negative 0.0003. So that one's getting really close there. Okay. 0.568. So 0.568 plus ln 0.568. And I finally get my positive, which is going to be 0.0024. So it's going to be between those two right there. Now, so since it is going to be between those two right here, okay, that's how far I went up for this. I could actually continue this here if I needed to go another decimal, since I don't need to go any more decimals on this, but I just showed you how to continue this. Now, let's take a look. Since it is supposed to be 6 and 7, or 7 and 8 right here, so it's supposed to be somewhere in between there. So I'm just going to do one more, and that's going to give me 3 digits. So 3 decimal points right here. So if it's positive, if it's going to be a positive number, it's supposed to be less. If it is a negative number, it's supposed to be more. So I'm going to go with 0.5675. Okay? So now, if this gives me a positive, that means it's over. If it gives me a negative, that means it's less. So if it would be less, that means it would round down. If it's more, if it's more than this one right here, then it would actually round up. So the 5 is going to round up anyway. So it would round up at that point. So let's go ahead and plug that in. So I'm going to have 0.5675 plus ln 0.5675. Enter. So right here, this one's going to be a positive here. Since I actually have a positive here, that means that it is over. So that means it's going to be less than that. If it's less than that, that means it's probably a 4 or below. That means that would round off. So my solution to this, okay, is going to be that it's going to be about 0.567, because that 5 was too much. Okay, so that doesn't round up, so it just drops off. So that's what I'm going to have to 3 digits right there. Alright, now for the practice is going to be 1 through 4, and the homework is going to be on page 112, and you only have 2 problems, 1 and 4, to do.